Hey guys, I am super slow getting started this morning. Last week we did it a lot sooner, a lot earlier, and we'll see if my camera, again, I have a new camera. We'll see how much I can. Is it gonna focus for me? Focus. There we go. We have nope, we don't have focus. This new phone may not be long for this world. Stay focused. Stay focused. There we go. Okay, so this is one of the days of I have showered every day, but I'm not washing my hair. So that's why my hair is up in a bun. Oh, stay focused. Stay focused. Hey, Dustin, how are you? So I'm going to take off my shoes because I'm going to be spinning this morning. And Christy Betts, how are you? The kids are at Grandma and Grandpa's at church, but I needed to come back because the renters are watering today and we weren't able to come back last night. And so I needed to come and help with my share of the chores. So what I'm working on is this is the hat that I did in the Facebook live show yesterday. It's not finished yet, but I think it's going to be cute for a big head. Now, part of the problem was I had little kids who made the yarn, and so it's a little bit slubby, and I have some parts to tuck back in. This in particular, some of these other parts, so I need to fix that, but I didn't have quite enough yarn to finish. And so this morning I am here trying to finish the yarn. I need to make something quite big and little, big and little, big and little. And what I have on here right now is fingering weight. So that's going to be interesting. I had a bobbin here somewhere. What I kind of need to do is just transfer the whole thing onto one bobbin and start over, because everything I've done here is very regular. And in order to copy the yarn that the girls made, it needs to be quite puffy and then not puffy and then puffy and then not puffy. So whenever I put the bobbin on, you want, oh, darn it, this one doesn't have it. I need to get the little plastic piece because it helps it to spin better when you're taking off of it. So I'm going to put this all onto one bobbin. One is more homespun than the other. The one on this bobbin is quite fine, and it was spun worsted, and this one was spun woolen. So they're very different fibers, or very different yarns. But they're similar enough that I can get away with putting them on the same, and I need to change that because I don't want so much twist. So let's see what's going on. We've had temperatures in the 90s. Daniel Stevens, hello. We've had temperatures in the 90s, and Kai and I handle that pretty well. Okay, I'm going to up my tension and put it on the largest whirl so that it will just pull and pull and pull without putting any twist in. Because this already has quite a bit of twist as I'm putting it onto this bobbin, and I don't want it to twist anymore. I just want it to pull really, really hard and just wind it onto that bobbin without any more twist. So it's been in the 90s. Kai and I handle that just fine. We come in here and we read books and we do our work in the early morning and at night. But Paige does not handle the heat at all. And she had a couple little meltdowns the first day that we hit 90. And because of that, what we have been doing is we've been getting all of our big chores done early in the morning. And then I take the girls into the library, or I take the girls into Grandma and Grandpa's. But I try really hard to have some good chores for them first so that they don't kind of feel like they're running away from their chores. It kind of sticks with them if I let them do that. Oh, I missed a whole bunch of comments. What were people saying? And my husband is on today. And so Mr. Dirt is on. That would be John as my moderator, I guess, this morning. So I'm sorry I don't look as, like, you know, put together as I do on my Facebook Live shows. If you guys go over to the Facebook Lives, I always have a dress on and I do my hair up really cute. But this is Sunday morning and I'm resting. So I am doing a live show, but I am resting. Is there a way to boost the volume. I could try and bring it closer. Is it that bad? That is frustrating. I got this new phone so that I could be on Instagram a little bit easier. Let's see. I got this phone so I could be on Instagram easier. The camera on my old phone was not fantastic, and you need a pretty good camera. So, can you guys hear me now? Can you hear me? You probably can't see the spinning wheel now, though, can you? Should I turn it the other way? I wonder. Okay. So, can you hear me? Can you hear me now? So, if I give the girls significant chores before we go into town, and they have some kind of thing they have to do in town rather than just going to Granny's and watching television, they handle it much better. But I will say that I have a very difficult time leaving the homestead and then coming back, because we have all of our clothes in our luggage, we have food in coolers, and as much fun as it is to be in like vacation mode like that on occasion, it's very difficult to do it on a daily basis. And so, especially where we're with my mom and dad, and it's still their house and they still have to be able to function with us there, it feels like what is National Lampoon's something vacation? It feels very similar to that to me, and that it's just kind of exhausting. I would rather be here off grid all the time, or I'd rather be on grid all the time, but not coming back and forth. Let's see. Little Shepherd said, "Oh, I'm sorry, there's no closed caption. I have some closed caption for some of my videos, but it takes me a really long time to get in there and do the closed caption. I should just do it. But one reason is that because we don't have regular Wi-Fi, it's a little bit hard for me to get onto the it's hard for me to get on the internet and have it be strong enough that it can make the changes it needs to in the video and not just take a huge amount of time. I'm looking into getting a jetpack for that reason, because we're using the 4G from my phone to hotspot my computer, but it burns out the phone, and it also really slows the internet down so that it's very hard to work efficiently. But that's one more expense when I'd rather not be spending a lot on expenses right now, and so we'll see if that's what we do. But it would be nice if I had a little bit more time. It's difficult right now to get a lot of my descriptions up correctly and to change my pictures, again, because I have to use my phone instead of a real computer. So this is almost empty. And I wonder if I could lift this up and then point it down so you could actually see what I'm doing. I think that would help. Should we try that? Yeah, Christmas vacation. Let's see. What are you saying, Mr. Dirt? I said you could come on and say hi. I didn't say come on and make fun of me. Okay, so let's see what you can see. Oh, now you can see. Can you see? Hooray. You can't see my face. That'll just have to be good enough. All right, so what I'm doing is taking all the yarn off one bobbin and putting it onto the other bobbin so that I can use this empty bobbin to get the right texture that is closer to what the girls spun on their hat yarn. Your can-do attitude, something about Tennessee. I should turn my thing around so I can actually see. Christine71 made it. Hello, hello. I should turn this around because I totally can't see. Hold on a second, guys. I'm only seeing half of your conversation. Let's see. I am really, really good at technology. Sarcasm. There we go. Now I can actually see what you're saying. I wish I could rest on Sunday, but I can control this operation in just a day. Saturday is farmer's market. Well, and that's kind of the same way it is for this job of mine, is that if I don't post every day, I'm not making a living. And so I post every day, and then on Sundays, if I do a live stream, it gives me a little bit of as much of a break, as much of a rest as I can get. You can see I'm still spinning and getting a hat made, but I would really like to be able to rest fully, but I don't know. It's okay. I like talking to you guys. Who else is here? Farmal Fanatic is here. Hello, hello. All right, so this one is almost empty. I should probably just put all the yarn on one bobbin. I have so many little bobbins that I just start on and then I never finish them. I just play with all the different wools just for the sake of spinning, not because I'm going to make anything out of it. I know you can't see my eyes, but I wanted you to see the spinning wheel. All right, we'll try this again. Up, up, up. There we go. Is that better? Ta-da! All right. It's amazing to me how much stuff you can lose even in a tiny house. I went out and bought a holder for my phone so that it would fit on my tripod, only to come home and be unpacking things and find that I had two already. Is that interesting in this small of a house that I can still have 3 times too much stuff? My grandmother would say the ox is in the ditch. Yes, the ox is in the ditch, and when the ox is in the ditch, you just do what you have to do to make things work. And yes, if you have a farmer's market, who was it that was saying they had a farmer's market? Somebody was saying they have a farmer's market, and if you're not there on weekends, which is when everybody is there, you don't sell your produce. I know that even for people with CSAs, you have to kind of be there when the customer is there. So hopefully, maybe you can take a Monday or a Wednesday or something like that and have it be your day off, as long as you get a day of rest. Oh, thank you. That is very kind. Big Family Homestead also has a good channel. I agree. They've always got something going on over there, and their new barn is enormous. Enormous. I hear their property taxes over there are killer, though. Isn't Ohio's property taxes like off? Hey, Helios, how are you? And Denise is here as a moderator. Thank you much. Okay, so there's one bobbin I can take off and start on the one and try and match it up to the girls. So I took a hodgepodge of everything off of a bunch of different bobbins, and that's what it looks like right now. And so now I'm going to put this empty one on. I'm going to put this empty one on and see if I can figure out how to imitate what the girls did. What they did is a very common beginner's skein, which is you get fat and loose and then tight and skinny. And once you've been spinning for a while, it's actually a little bit hard to do that. So you can see there, I've got spots where you've got one piece. See these? They're really, really fat. And then next one, there's these that are more normal. So I've got to imitate that now with this wheel. It makes for a really stinking cute hat. I've got to go through to some spots and stitch them down, but though, because there were a couple where it was a little bit too much like that. So these I've already prepped. These I did with the combs. And I also have some blue face Leicester, which I am so in love with. I'm really surprised. It's like a merino in softness, but it's a longer staple, so it's easier to spin. But I am not sure I'm going to be able to imitate even so what it is that they were doing. I did it as a Navajo ply. Hey, thanks, Denise. You need to get a scarf for me. I have some scarves that I absolutely love, and they're from alpaca, and I love them so much. So I think I need a bobbin because I do know that they did a core spun. So let me think. You can just use a bobbin like a string bobbin. Hey, brown coat, thanks. I'm going to go grab a bobbin of thread, just a little standard one. just so that I can try to imitate it exactly. Okay, so this is just a cone. This is just a regular cone for like a what are they called? A serger. And I'm going to put it right here. And that will allow me to wrap very loosely. Sorry. I just bought an exercise ball myself for my back. They make a huge difference. Oh, you're looking at mine. I try really hard not to be on it when I'm in a live show because I bounce. And then it makes my camera focus and unfocus. Where did I put that? Does anybody see my hook that goes right here? Did I put it down somewhere? Where did I put it? Well, that may be the last of that. Okay, I've got another one. I'll go see if I can find it. Sorry, guys. I'm up and down, aren't I? Where did I put it? I have to go back and rewatch the video to figure out where I put the... Oh, there it is. All right. Sorry, guys. Hello, everyone. It's in my hair. Well, it could have been. It could have been in my hair. All right. So I have that put on now. So we'll see if I can keep it open and lofty because that's what they did. And thick and thin. And I will try to remember that I need to also look at the live show. Yeah, that is so cool. You do it from scratch like our ancestors did. I know a little bit about history. The Vikings spun some kind of wool and it will keep you very warm when wet. Yes, they probably did it in the grease. Wool is very good at keeping you warm when you're wet. And I'm going to do it slubby and open. And I'm going to let all sorts of loose, round things happen. And then some's going to be thick and some's going to be thin. We'll see if we can duplicate this. Now this is cloud. I did these with the single row combs, and so they're not going to be worsted. They're not going to be perfect. They're just open. They're just open, which is called cloud. Hey, Smallwood, how are you? Tree chopping day. That sounds fun. Let's see. Working on your second cup of coffee. I drink the Chicino because I don't do well with caffeine. I have a tendency to abuse caffeine, and it means that I get really, I'm already really kind of a hyper personality. And so when I add caffeine into that, I turn into this like Tasmanian devil type of a person. Oh, I'm crocheting while watching. Launa is here. I love that. Okay. So cloud is not my favorite thing to spin from. My favorite thing to spin from is always worsted that I've prepped myself. What type of wheel do I have? So this one is a Mach 3 from the Spinolution. It's not my favorite wheel. It's a studio wheel, and I like to have a travel wheel. My favorite is the Hopper, but I do like this one. It's a good wheel, but my favorite is the Hopper or the Queen Bee. Hope you guys can hear me. I keep turning my head away. Yeah, I know. Don't work too hard on this day of rest. I've been feeling a little Taz, right? Okay, so we have some thin, we have some thick, we have some in between. And what happens is if you use something that is not the double row combs, you'll still have these little bits of slubs in here. If you use the double row combs or the triple row combs, you don't get slubs, it just pulls everything out. What the single row combs do is they open the fleece up and they pull out things like vegetable matter and let it fall to the ground, that kind of thing. So there's a huge difference in the way that you prep wool. as far as what it's going to turn out in the end. But see, I'm doing this on purpose. I'm trying to get some thick and some thin. And then I will Navajo ply it like I did on the girl's other. So what I'm trying to do is duplicate the yarn that they used here. I've already got the hat almost finished, but I need to duplicate the yarn so that it's the same texture so that I can finish the hat. Okay, Rex Honey said, old fashioned is cool, old traditions something. I missed that last bit. So this is a merino that is very, very nice. But I prefer to work with it in the raw. I do not like to process fleece washed. I like to do it in the raw because then the fibers are parallel to each other rather than muddled. And you can make it into something really perfect. I really don't like to work with it when it's been washed already. Oh, what? Somebody said that they were going wacko from coffee. I actually found a variety of coffee that if it's been processed, the Swiss water decaffeinating process, it takes out 99.9% of the caffeine. Denise said, I love making my own beeswax candles. That's amazing. And then Julie, is that the hat you were making yesterday? Yes, I finished it yesterday, and the reason I didn't like finish it was because I ran out of yarn. All right, Liz, let's see. I gotta wait for it to pop back up. Liz said something about her grandson. Oh, let's go up just a little bit. Liz Zorab said, my 2-year-old grandson keeps trying to talk to me. I have no idea what he's trying to say. Yeah, that's kind of how it goes, right? I do these live shows and the kids aren't here because it's so hard to keep focused. All right. So this is also cloud, but this cloud was prepared in the raw. You can see it's a little more yellow. And the nice thing about it is that it will have opened up, but all the fibers are aligned next to each other and there's no slubbing. I love working with fleece in the raw, which means it hasn't been washed. It means it has lanolin in it. I love to spin. It's much easier to get a very sleek. And then, so I'm going to have a hard time with this then. So I'm supposed to be doing big and fat, but when you have really nice fleece and it's prepared really well, it's hard to go back and make it kind of imperfect. So I'm going to have to purposefully see if I can do some fat and skinny, even though with this, this was also prepared with the single row combs, and all the single row combs is open it up. They don't like turn it into worsted. But this is much easier to work with than something that's just been washed because it stays aligned. So I'm going to have to focus here for a minute to make sure that it has some slubs because it's much easier to work with. And it's going to want to be a perfect yarn, and I'm going to force it to be an imperfect yarn, and it takes some focus. So what are people saying? John says you guys want to see my eyes instead of the spinning wheel. Should I focus it down for a minute and let you see the spinning wheel? Because it's kind of interesting. The fat and the thin. I don't know what you guys have a preference for. Eyeballs or spinning wheel. There we go. So there's that. I'm also using 3 different varieties of, let's see. I started drinking Roma replacement coffee. What? Let's see. Rex Haney said, I enjoy that I was born in the time when this was old America, when young people carried on the old ways. Our ancestors love it. Okay, Liz said, do you sell your wool worldwide? This is not my wool. This is from Natalie over at Namaste Farms, and I love her fleeces. They can be very pricey and hard to get a hold of. But if you follow her on Facebook, sometimes you can nab one. She sent it to me because we're trying to figure out how we can get enough of it to be able to sell to people. But for now, she only sells her raw fleeces from Facebook, and it's Namaste Farms. That's cool. Little Shepherd Farms talking about growing up with some cowboy kids. All right, I'm really not doing a very good job with this thick and thin. So again, wool prep. It's your prep that makes your yarn nice. It's not necessarily your spinning technique. It's your wool prep. And what you can make with it depends on how you prepped your wool, whether or not it'll be easy to make what you are trying to make. So right now I'm doing this on purpose, trying to get some soft, some skinny, some tight to duplicate what the girls did. And I'm glad that I have the core right here to put it onto, because it's difficult to do this without a core, because these fat parts that don't have enough twist in them will break if you're not using a core and you have any kind of tension on your wheel, which I have a lot of tension on my wheel right now. Probably take some of that off. We'll take some tension off. Let's see. Hi, Maggie. Okay, Maniac Grammy asked, is it a single treadle or a double? This one is a double. All the Spinolution wheels are double treadles. And they're bearing driven. They don't have like leather in them or anything like that. So this one, if I take my feet off, my feet are actually off and not pedaling. And it's going to keep going for a bit because of the bearings. Whereas if you did that with an old-fashioned wheel, that would not be the case, because there's a drag from the materials that it's made of. So now I'm going to start again and I can go. This wheel actually came with a brake, and I took the brake off because I didn't really like it. But it will spin fast enough that without a brake, you can have you can have difficulty stopping it if you go too fast. Daniel said, Mr. Dirt, you going to add any new videos to your channel? Julia, what is the serger I have? Okay, so I got to focus for half a second because I need to prep my wool. So what I have here is I have some roving. And because it is so uniform, it's going to make it hard for me to pull slubs out and then make it skinny and then make it tight and then make it fat. So let's see what I can find. And I will play with it a little bit and get it to the right consistency. Okay, what was the question? Because I totally missed it. There was a question. What was the question? I might have to go back up and look. Actually, I kind of want to turn this into a roll lab. Okay, so if you want stubby, irregular fiber, you use carders, not combs. So these will give you worsted, which will give you perfect yarn. If you want slubby yarn that kind of balls up on itself, you use the carders because they make woolen. And I don't like to use it, but I'm going for an imperfect yarn, so I need to use these. I'm still missing what everybody's saying. Let's see. I don't know. I don't know what everybody's saying. Okay, so these are the carders. I'll sit back so you can see. And what you make with these is rollags. Which turn into woolen yarn. Again, I never do that on purpose. I have these for educational purposes only, and to imitate my kids' yarn when it doesn't turn out so good. And I have no idea what anybody's asking me because I can't see it. Some of the best books that I have on this kind of topic are from the Foxfire series, and I'll try and remember to put my link in. I have an Amazon store set up. They kind of changed the way that they've done it, that they used to do it. They do it differently now. And with the Amazon store, they've actually set up like this strange looking platform where I can put items that I like, but it doesn't work the same way it used to. So I don't really know how it works, but I do have the series, the Firefox series, or Foxfire, however you say it. See how I'm able to go kind of fat again? And then bigger. But I need to slow it down. I may need to, part of it maybe I need to turn my tension up again, because if it pulls it out of my hand, it doesn't put too much spin in. Paige and Kaya. So there's a fat part, and there's a skinny part, and there's a fat part. There we go. I just needed it to pull tighter. And then a fat part, and then a skinny part, and then a fat part, and then a skinny part. Sorry, this actually takes a little focus. It's hard for me to read the comments while I'm doing this. And without the core, this yarn would not hold together because there's not enough twist in it. And if you have comments, make sure to ask questions. I will try to remember to look up. The house is coming along nicely. We are getting a little bit of heat at about 4 o'clock in the afternoon until about 7. Again, Kai and I are fine, but Paige isn't handling it well. And here in another couple weeks, we're going to have about 2 gallons a day extra of goat's milk. And I've got to find some church people that want it, because I can't make that much or eat that much cheese. If I had a pig, it would be easy, but I don't have a pig, and the renters don't have a pig. And so I've got to find somebody that wants a whole bunch of really nice goat's milk every day. Okay, how do you stay cool in the heat? What? Denise, that was very kind. Thank you. What was that for? How do I stay cool in the heat? We have the windows open most of the time. And I do all my work in the morning, and then we come in and kind of strategically open and close windows. And so far, that's how we stay cool. But Darwin over at the Honeydew Carpenter is trying to invent an off-grid air conditioner using the aircrete, kind of like a swamp cooler. And that's what he's working on as part of his Kickstarter. Thank you very much, Denise. That was really kind. Christy Beth said in Alabama, they make people have expensive licenses to sell goat's milk. So I can't sell goat's milk for human consumption because it's raw, but I can sell it to people for animals, for animal consumption, or for soap making. And if people pasteurize it themselves, they could drink it, I guess. But yeah, I do have to be careful in how I advertise it. This is going to be really hard. Okay, I may just have to do this and make it thick and very little twist so that it has that softness, but I don't want to turn this whole thing into a roll-ag in order to be able to use it. So I'm just going to let it go as it is and fill up the bobbin really loose, and still use the what's it called? Use the core. Oh, gotcha. Denise says she gets it raw from a vet who sells it on her own farm. That's amazing. We have a raw dairy cow farm down the road, and their milk is amazing too. But nothing really compares to your own milk, I think. Oh, you guys can't hear me? I'm sorry. Well, one more good thing to know about how my camera is working. We got it for one purpose, and it was just for the camera. I got the phone for the camera, and if the camera isn't working, that's an issue. No point in having it if it isn't going to work at least as well as the one I had before, which so far it takes still photos, like I said, over on Instagram. It takes some pretty good still photos, but I'm struggling with it as like a camera. Oh yeah, that's exactly true. She has, so you can have different tastes of milk, stronger or more mild. So she has several goats to choose from. That's cool. Denise says she can hear me. What am I making? I am making, I have a hat that I started and almost finished yesterday, but then I ran out of yarn, and it's a hat made from my kids' yarn. So I'm having to come on and duplicate the texture of the yarn that they made. I can't see what they said. Okay, eventually caught up with you all the way from South Africa. Hi, Erica. Okay, so Robert said that the camera and sound is working, so that's good to know. Thank you guys. I can't tell from my end, obviously, so I appreciate the heads up. Okay, so I'm going to make sure this stays soft and kind of somewhere between bulky and worsted, and hopefully it'll be consistent enough, because it is hard to I can try. Let's see if I try just a little bit harder. It's not that hard to make this stuff, but if I'm trying to hold a conversation and look at what you guys are saying, I can't do it. On this kind of yarn, I have to be able to look at the yarn. So I will just do my best and make it not exactly like theirs, but as close as I can get. Let's see what else. So with our food forest, 3 years ago, I had to water everything pretty much every day, or at least every other day. And now this year, everything has established. We had enough mulch around everything. We got enough rabbit manure around everything. And now I only have to water once a week, which is so nice. Let's see. Anything else? I didn't see anything else. And so our summers are really freeing up, and I'm hoping to be able to turn the watering over to the renters and have them feel like they can handle it, because they do need a little bit of experience with it in case there comes a summer when I can't be here to help them with it, that they would know how to make everything function and be comfortable with it and feel like it wasn't overwhelming, because it used to be a lot of work. And now it's really very, very easy. I water 3 times a week. And I'm actually thinking of taking down quite a few of my trees in the back, because they're failing to thrive. And none of them are food trees. And so I'm not necessarily willing to put that much time and energy into them, because they're not food trees. And they're kind of beyond that point where if they were going to grow and they were going to do well, it would have happened years ago. And so it's really not going to happen. I might as well just bite the bullet and take them out and make more pasture for the goats. So that's probably what I'm going to do this summer, is start grazing the goats among those trees and let them eat the trees down. And just stop messing with it, because the money that goes into fuel, the money that goes, and the time that goes into it is not worth, it's not worth it even to the trees, because they're just not, they're not doing so hot back in that corner. I don't remember what time I started. Babe, do you remember what time I started? Oh, I've been going 40 minutes. Okay. So I should stop talking and see if I can get this done faster so I can show you how to ply it. I'm going to do a Navajo ply, which is a triple ply. It's actually a chain stitch that is spun in the opposite direction from which you started, and it gives a triple ply to your work, with a little tiny bit of a nub at regular intervals from where the little knot overlaps. Again, the girls are with grandparents at church. I dropped them off before I came to do the show. One of the reasons they're over there is one of the reasons we're not here as much as we would like to be is that my sister-in-law is moving to Iowa, and we're trying to get time in with family. For one thing, we're trying to get time in with family before we go back to Tulsa in September. So that's both sides of the family. And for John's side of the family, his sister's about to move to Iowa. And so we're trying to get time in with cousins. I don't know if I need to scroll down. It doesn't have the darn blue arrow, so I can't tell. Oh, goodness. Why does it do that? Oh, my goodness. How far down do I need to go? Why does it do this? Crypto old guy said, new to the channel along with Justin Rhodes and Fouch family off grid. This is my new binge watch. Thanks for the inspiration. Well, they are good channels. They are definitely good channels. Mine is definitely a little different from theirs, but I think they're kind of different from everybody else too. It's nice to have that variety. But I don't know why it keeps not telling me that there's more conversations. I sat there for like 10 minutes, not realizing there were conversations further down. Denise said she's living in Illinois and has contemplated going to Iowa. I've been in Iowa for business a couple times, and I thought it was beautiful, beautiful. Pretoria with my own little garden and veggies. And Erica, do you have an Instagram or Facebook or anything? Because I love to see what other people are doing with their gardens, especially in a climate that's different than ours. I think it's inspiring. I was really nervous to go to Tulsa and try gardening because I wasn't used to humidity or that kind of heat, and I didn't know what to expect of the winter. But we did our normal garden the same way we would have here in Idaho, and everything turned out exactly the same. We planted in February, we harvested very soon thereafter, and it all turned out just fine. Wow, Denise said her tomato plants are as tall as her now. We have not planted any tomatoes. I wasn't here to get them started. And about 3 years ago, I had a bad experience with some nursery tomatoes that brought aphids into my greenhouse. And so if I don't grow it myself, I don't bring it. I don't plant it. Just because I don't like the pests that it brings in. Let's see. Little Shepherd Farm said Justin Rhodes is cool. I love a lot of other homestead channels, but he doesn't get to watch them as much anymore. I need to slow my feet down. Slow down your feet, Julie. If I read really fast, it makes my feet move really fast. I want to start a oh. She bought her tomatoes from Bonnie and they are organic. How nice. Yeah, Erica, I hope you will. I would love to see what you're making. Everything, I was really happy with Tulsa on everything except that the second time I went back, when we went back to go to Missouri with Doug and Stacy for the Baker's Creek symposium thing, I went out to my garden to check on it and I got a tick on me, and that just really burst my bubble. I was not happy about that. I have no interest in Lyme's disease, whatsoever. Let's see, Larry said, this may sound funny, but what is the thread you're pulling off the cone? Whoa, what did you, okay, so this is my core. And what it does, it means I can spin a lot looser and more open. And the girls spun on a core because they're just learning. And so what this does is my wool wraps around the core, and it will hold the integrity of the yarn if I'm trying to spin super open so that it'll stay super soft. If I don't have the core there, I cannot spin as open without losing the integrity and the strength of my yarn. Erica says they can grow anything at any time of year. That's amazing. Why not try aquaculture? In our area, we freeze so deeply in the winter that it was another layer of things we hadn't tried yet. I don't think it's a bad idea, and I have seen it done, but usually it's done by people in the desert that stays warm, not the high cold desert. We can have a 250-gallon IBC tote that doesn't thaw in the winter, doesn't freeze all the way through in the winter, but it's a 250-gallon container. And anything less than that, things start to break. The containers break, and it's expensive to run electricity and heaters out. And the tilapia, if we were to do tilapia in it, they would definitely die. It would just be too cold for them here in our winter. We could barely keep them from freezing, let alone keep them warm. I am missing so many comments. I'm so sorry. Okay, that was really funny. Before the sun sets on her 16th birthday, she will prick her finger and die. Well, I'm past my 16th birthday, so I'm super, super safe. Let's see. Are we getting any closer? We're not getting any closer. Eric, we get temps about the same, but our winters can get downright awful. Ice storms, deep snow, sometimes a couple feet a day, even thunder and lightning once in a while. Where did I get my wool? So this one, trying to think. I think I got this one from, I get my wool from a lot of different places. This one I did not get from Natalie from Namaste Farms. This is one we're going to try to be carrying because it's so nice. And it's the blue-faced Leicester. It's as soft as merino, but it's a longer staple. And so it's easier for a beginner to spin and to not have slubbing. Let's see. There was an Massachusetts. Vicky's from Massachusetts. Small garden this year, but lots of wild food. I love wild food and herbs. St. John's wort oil is looking beautiful, ready to harvest. Soapwort, which would be great to wash your wool. What a good idea. Tactical Angler said Eastern Washington is kind of similar. I'm losing all your comments, guys. I'm trying to read them faster, and it's making my feet move faster. Slow down, slow down, slow down. That's why you need a break on this one. It's hard to stop it. Okay, let me readjust for a second. If I missed any of your comments, I'm really sorry. Say them again. Okay, Erica said we only get really cold when southern mountains get snow like this last week. Sorry, I'm not getting to the whole thing. Okay, slow feet, Julie, slow feet. Just because you're trying to read comments really fast doesn't mean your feet have to move really fast. Okay. I wonder if John had to go. He was looking at a house today. So I wonder if he had to go do that and I missed him leaving. Let's see, what are we at? We've got 13 minutes left. Anybody have any other questions? Checking in from South Texas. Hello, Tyler. Oh, there's John. Okay. The one thing is, if you're using roving, it doesn't have any lanolin on it. And when it doesn't have any lanolin on it, it means that it kind of poofs up in the air and it gets into your nose. So that's what's happening to me right now is that I have got all these little bits of wool trying to get in my nose. All right. Do you have bayberry bushes near you? And if so, have you ever made anything with them? I have planted bayberry bushes, but they like acidic soil and I have highly alkaline soil. And so it does not work well for bayberry bushes here, even though, yes, I have tried to plant them several times and I did want to make candles with them. It's why I had planted them. My source for my wild crafting trees is coldstreamfarm.net. They're very inexpensive. Their return policy is amazing. They just send you the new trees. Bobby here from Vegas. Hello. Wait a minute. My Bobby? Oh, Roberto. There we go. Okay, I would say something about woolly boogers, but that wouldn't be gentlemanly. Yeah, it's pretty much the truth, though. After you're done doing this, you have to go blow your nose, and it's a lot. So I guess I could show you the difference. Sorry, and my clothes are going to have it. The best thing to use to get wool off your clothes is wool. So here I have a piece of wool, and I'm just going to rub it like this. And what it does is it just kind of statics up on itself and helps to kind of pull it out of the air. Except this one has lanolin, so it's not sticky. Or it's not staticky. Case in point. Lanolin keeps it from being staticky. There we go. All right, so let's see if I can show you the difference. This stuff is raw. And these are the tools I use for it. So with my raw stuff, it doesn't poof up in my face. It has all this greasy lanolin in it. And a lot of people ask me if I make yarn for people anymore or if I make hats anymore. And I really don't, not a lot. I sell the tools on Etsy store because it does you absolutely no good to watch me to do it or to pay me to make them for you. The purpose is for you to learn how to make it for yourself. I know for me it helps because I have some issues with sitting still. If I sit still for too long, I get kind of depressed. And so when I have downtime, I like to do things like this so that my spirits stay high. Let's see, somebody, who was it? Tyler? Was it Tyler? Tyler, are you the one who wanted the blue yarn? Part of my problem is that I don't have my dyes here. What I probably need to do is just have John mail me my dyes. Because yes, I remember that I need to make yarn for you, but until I find some blue, I wanted to make it out of the organic, use the organic dye. But because the non-organic dye is toxic, it's hard to ship. Yeah, Vicky said, I like that website you mentioned for trees. She checked it out. Yes, they have much more than bayberries. We actually have mulberries that are producing this year, and hawthorns, and hardy apricots and elderberries. All those things. That is how I was able to afford to plant the hundreds of trees that I planted when we first got here, is because we got them from Cold Mountain or coldstreamfarm.net. Bye, Launa. Oh, I keep missing stuff. Okay, so he who asked me, or she who asked me. Okay, I have a hard time keeping track. I have people that ask me to do yarn, and it's not something I can necessarily commit to do soon. And I did have somebody that asked me about blue, and I'm happy to make it, but I don't have my dyes with me right now. Everything that I make has to be natural, or it has to be like a prepared bat that I bought from somebody else. Because I had all my dyes here, but then I took them with me to Tulsa when we went last November, and then we had so little room in the car that I didn't get to bring them back. Oh, lamb stew, that sounds awesome. Yeah, no GMOs. I don't know if you guys know, but there are actually fruit trees that are being GMO'd now too. I think the more you can plant, this year we have so much abundance. We have Nanking cherries out the wazoo. We have the service berries. We have the mulberries. We have regular cherries. We have pie cherries. We have lots of pears and lots of grapes, but the rabbits killed the apple trees last year. So we had 3 apple trees that were bearing really nicely, but we had a domesticated rabbit that walked along the top of the snow in the winter and absolutely girded everything that I didn't have wire on. So the pear trees, I'd had wire on them, so they were safe, but the apple trees did not have wire around the trunk. Erica said, not something I make often as it can be expensive. We like to get the soup bones for the lamb when we don't have our own lamb. So we'll go in, let's see, what's the name of the farm we get it from out in Tulsa? It's, what is it called? Shepherd's Cross in Tulsa. They sell the lamb chops, and those are really good, but they're like $16 a pound. So what we get is we get the bones from the spine and make our stew out of that, and it's lovely, lovely food. And we always make soup with it because that way we can keep the gelatin and the fat and everything in the soup. It's really hard to do this and focus on a conversation. Yeah, we love pears. The girls and I love pears. John is not a fan of pears. But I don't think he's... John, have you tried our pears? Let's see. Let's see. Oh, thank you, Jackie. And willow. What was also willow? Was that the other thing you planted? Um, oh, John said no, the girls always eat the pears before they're ripe. That is true. The girl the girls go out and eat everything before it's ripe. It's a wonder their bowels do not have issues. They're like their stomachs are like cast iron. See if I can put this one on. I don't know why this one keeps wanting to float up. If you have wool that has like 0 knots in it, it's sometimes hard to use this because it all just wants to slide through at the same time, and you need it to have a little resistance so that it will actually brush it. Pardon me, sorry. I heard a person out there, not... Sometimes the neighbor comes over and just walks in the house. Not our renters, but our other neighbor. Sometimes we worry that while we're trying to shower, he's going to walk in, so we have to kind of lock it a bit. Our deck is actually a very much a part of our house, very extended, attached part of our house. We use it for so much, but all we have is that little plastic door on it. It doesn't give us much security. Yeah, Christy Bett said my grandparents had an orchard, and I would stand there and watch. Something about if she watched it, it would make the pears grow faster. They said better lock the door. Yeah, well, we did. We had a hard time with that because, yeah, just tricky. It's just tricky. We love our neighbor, and we love that they come over to see us, but it is difficult to keep modesty when you shower out on your deck and people are coming over to visit you and not knocking. So there's the tiny little bit of waste that there was from that go round. And you can see these parts pulled out just a little bit, so I kind of have to fix those a little bit. Because again, this is a really nice fleece and the fiber wants to just slide so easy that it's coming too easy, and I need it to stay put just a little bit longer. There we go. It is a joy to work with really beautiful wool from really healthy animals. You can really tell. I don't know if you know this, but with wool, if an animal isn't getting enough to eat, it'll cause breakage in their wool. And during the period that they're not getting enough to eat or that they're sick, that part will be weaker. And so when you brush it or try to spin with it, it'll just be brittle and it'll come apart. So you know that you had a really beautiful, healthy, happy animal when the wool is strong from tip to cut end. And that's what this is. It's very, very beautiful and strong. And I think this one is a Corriedale. So yes, this part is called combing. If I was carding, whoops, if I was carding, it would be with these. These are carders. These make woolen, and I don't like to use them because they leave vegetable matter and they leave slubs in. If I use these, which are combs, it takes out all the vegetable matters, it aligns it, and it makes it so easy to spin. And you have a superior product with the combs than you do with the carders. I want nothing to do with the carders, because if I'm going to spend that much time on making a handmade good, I want it to be perfect. I don't want it to have slubs in it. I don't want it, even though this is beautiful, amazing wool, if I were to process it with the carders, it would turn into a completely different product than it would if I use these. And that other wool is still in my nose. Sorry, guys. I'll try not to sniff too loud. So this, you'll notice, is starting to turn different color from what it was before. This is what it used to be, and the color it used to be. I should take it out back. Color difference. This one is darker. This one is whiter. By the time it's been through the combs a couple times, it'll be white. Hello from Scotland. All right. I cannot see comments again. I'll have to wait until it decides to renew a bit. I need a nose mitten. That is such a good idea. My goodness. Are those called handkerchiefs? I need a handkerchief. And I need like a filter. So that I'm using roving that is not raw, all those fibers don't get in my nose. Honestly, what I want to do today, the minute I'm done with the yarn so that I can finish, I'm being so lazy. I'm being so lazy. I need to finish this so that I can get the yarn done. Don't have these next to children or pets. By the way, they're very sharp. The spinning wheel doesn't care, but if that had been a child, that would have been a bad thing. What was I going to say? What I really want to do when I'm done is I want to go curl up with the book and just read and maybe take a nap. I get up as if I had a real job every morning. I get up at 5 and it's not too early. I love to get up at 5, but sometimes by the time it hits 10 o'clock, I'm lagging a little bit, especially if it's a hot day. And so as a Sunday thing, I'd really like to take a little nap. So there's a little bit, tiny bit more of waste. Oh, apple butter. I love apple. If I'm going to make anything jam-like, and it's just for me, I make apple butter. Exactly. Oh, goodness. Sorry, I can't see for my sniffly nose. I don't know how that works. Oh, tiny phone, big fingers. Oh, and bread, homemade bread too. Yeah. I make the biscuits in Tara's book, Dining on a Dime, and I make them paleo by substituting one for the flour. I substitute 1 cup of the bean flour, and was it 3/4 cup of tapioca flour, and then a 1/4 cup of coconut flour. I think that's how I did it, and they're so good. They're as good as regular biscuits. We love them. Christy said, I wish you could keep grandparents forever. I know, isn't that true? But isn't it nice to give them a break? Life can be so real. And sometimes I am so grateful that they don't have to be here for some of it. Little Shepherd Farm said she'd send us her dog clippings. If it is if it's you know how some dogs have the smooth coat and others have that woolly undercoat, so like a Pyrenees or a poodle or I don't, what else would be, it has to be long and it has to have some crimp to it. If you have one of those kind of dogs, I'd love to spin it if you want. I had somebody else who had offered. I know, isn't it nice? Denise said she bought the Dining on a Dime cookbook and she loves it. I think it's all my mom's recipes in a book that's really well formatted, because that's what I think every time I cook out of that book is that all the recipes, I find them in my pantry. I'm not going to have a reaction to them. And that's why I like it. I have like 4 cookbooks now, only 4. I have Gathered at the Table, which is a paleo cookbook. I have Wanda and Danny's cookbook from Deep South Homestead. I have Dining on a Dime. And do I even have another one? Maybe I only have 3. But those are the ones I use. Let's see. Yes, and we are affiliates for the Dining on a Dime book because I'm able to eat out of it. So John just put the link up if you're interested in that kind of food storage, homestead cooking. So what I'm doing is I'm turning it into roving. And what's amazing is I didn't really put that much fleece on this, but it's going to take me a minute to get it spun because it aligned it so well, and I'm just gonna be able to make so much with this. Isn't that pretty? I cannot post. Erica said she cannot post. Why is it saying you can't post, Erica? Oh, there you go. Okay. So this is now clean and perfect. There's no vegetable matter in it, and all the shorter fibers and most of the lanolin has come out of it. And this is one of my favorite parts. And what I like to do is do a whole bunch of this with the carding and get the roving ready and put into a basket and then sit down and do a lot of spinning at one time. But this allows you to keep part of that crafting process without hurting your wrists. It's different action doing this than it is to knit. and it's different action doing spinning than it is to knitting. If all you're doing is knitting and crocheting, you're not giving your hands that full range of motion that keeps you from getting carpal tunnel. The other thing is you do need to stand up and move around occasionally if you're going to be crafting. Get up and get some tea, get up and blow your nose if you're me. You need to get up and do something else besides your crafting about every 20 to 40 minutes. Otherwise, you are going to start to have problems with things like carpal tunnel. And for me, I have to do an hour of yoga every day because I do have so much I do with my hands and I need to keep my wrists supple. So there's the last of it. So I had 3 little tiny blips like this that had a lot of lanolin in it and is ready to move on to being doll stuffing. So here I go. That's how much I had come out of that one little bit that I just combed. Let's see. So I'm going to go ahead and take this and start spinning again. I'm being lazy because it's a difficult one to spin when you're talking to people online. It's hard to keep your focus. Erica said she's trying to find somebody. Have you looked on Ravelry, ravelry.com? A lot of times you'll be able to find remote people through Ravelry and what they offer. I had a spinning and spinning and weaving guild here in town, but I was actually taught by the lady that owns the local fiber store. She taught me how to knit socks. She didn't teach me how to spin. I kind of had to teach myself. But the local yarn shop lady did teach me how to make socks. So again, I'm trying to go fat and skinny and fat and skinny to imitate what the girls have already made. And then once I have the bobbin full, I will be able to finish that hat. And I'll probably put it up on the Etsy store just because we all have hats. We all have hats and we all have mittens. Unfortunately, my children have an abundance of such things. Denise said, the trolls are out today. Nothing better to do than stay in mom and dad's basement and make trouble. That's probably, unfortunately, very accurate. Okay, so here we go. At the very least, I need to keep it open and not a tight twist. And if I can, I need to do fat and thin and fat and thin. But at the very least, I need to make sure it stays open. So I have very high tension on it, so it's pulling quite hard. And a very slow spin. I have it on the biggest whirl right now so that it's a slow spin. And it's pulling hard enough that I'm not getting a lot of twist in it. So stop. Sometimes I regret taking the brake off my wheel. It is a little tricky to stop when it really gets going. They do make a smaller studio version of this wheel, and it's called the Echo. But it doesn't take, I don't know what the big difference is except the weight. This one is quite heavy. It's almost 40 pounds. It's not a travel wheel at all. I guess you could travel with it, but it'd be like taking around a treadle sewing machine. It's big and it's heavy, you know? If you drag a troll behind your boat, is that the same thing as trolling? I don't know. Well, yeah, the wheel is very, very quiet. It's the bearings. Okay, so am I getting closer? I don't need very much yarn, so I'm kind of tempted that once I get this roving spun up that I kind of want to just get started and make it. But it's deceptive because if you're doing a Navajo ply, it takes 3 times. It comes back on itself 3 times. So it would be a very, very short skein if I don't let it go the full bobbin. And I want it to be enough to finish the hat. So I have to stick with it and keep trying to read comments at the same time. So there we go. I'm getting closer. But I think I'm gonna go eat though. I think I ate breakfast. I remember eating breakfast, but I should probably go eat again. And see, I've got some laundry here. We did laundry last time we were here, which was 2 days ago. I've been out here since then, but not the kids. And I did laundry out here 2 days ago, and I need to get the laundry put up, and I need to get some dishes washed. But it could just be that it's driving me crazy trying to do thin and thick. And I'm just copying out and being like, I got all this other stuff to do, when really it's just, this is hard. It's hard to make yarn that is like this on purpose. It's easy if you're not doing it on purpose, but it's hard if you're trying to do it on purpose. So Erica said, I would love to know how to make things and learn new skills, so I'm going to try my hand at spinning. You should, but try with the drop spindle first, because with the drop spindle, you don't have very much money into it. And it teaches you how to have yarn with integrity, strong enough to hold its own weight, which is important. Oh, there goes a little spider. Erica, I know it's not the same thing, but I find a lot of really good deals, especially tools on eBay. For what? I haven't looked for tools on eBay, I don't think. One that I'd like to get into the store is the Charka. They're not expensive, but it's for spinning cotton thread, and it's a lap spindle, which I think is very interesting. Okay, Vicky said, what do you need for blue dye? I took a course in mushroom dyeing last year, but didn't have anything to dye with it. Need wool or silk, basically. My husband collects many types of mushrooms. If you do indigo, I believe you use a beetle. That's my understanding. I do have a request in to be a dealer for organic dyes that don't have the heavy metals. It's heavy metals that are generally in commercial dye, and most people that do wool dyeing use those heavy metal chemicals. But I have found a source for organic. A lot of times, even with herbal dyes and plant dyes, you still need a mordant, which is alum, which I believe is aluminum powder, which could still be considered a toxic metal, I guess. I'm not sure. But I kind of like to be on the safe side on those kind of things. So mushrooms, I'm not sure. I would love to be able to dye mushrooms. But we do not, we get morels here up in the mountains, in Cascade in particular. And they have whole busloads of people that come out and harvest the morels. We have had mushrooms grow here in our greenhouse and in our deep mulch. And we just haven't taken the time to cultivate them on purpose, so we haven't eaten any of them. But that would be interesting. If I could dye something with a mushroom, that would be amazing. I would imagine you still need a mordant, something that actually sets the dye. But I could look into that. I've actually looked into the caffeine-free Lion's Mane coffee chaga mix. I really want to try that. I think mushrooms are amazing. My personal opinion is a lot of the reason we have so many allergies to things that are good for us now is more a quirk of too many chemicals in our system and too much poison in our system, and not because the food is bad for us, because I know a lot of people have fungus sensitivities. But I always kind of wonder, you know, our ancestors ate all these foods without any ill effect for so many years, and it seems like the new kid on the block is the pesticides and herbicides and other things like that, and nuclear power plants that are the new kid on the block that might be causing us some problems, and that we're just reacting to our food because of overload. So there's my soapbox for the day. I switched it up to green a little bit because I get bored with white. And yeah, and it started in the I think like Agent Orange and back in the like Vietnam War, Korean War type stuff going on, when they really started to bring out the heavy guns, heavy artillery on chemicals. They did Agent Orange during the war, and then they brought it home and started using it on gardens and crop dusting and that kind of thing. And so chemical warfare on our own soil against our own people, unfortunately. Somebody said something about heavy metals and I missed it. Okay, slow your feet down, Julie. Slow your feet down. So I'm not pedaling right now. My feet are off the pedals, waiting for it to slow down. Okay, so many people don't have to soak their grains. You're paleo, so that is not something you would worry about. Tyler Wynn said, "Never dye your wool with Agent Orange." Those are words to live by, dude. Oh, funny. I like that. I like you, Tyler. Okay, so was there anything else? I keep forgetting that I kept saying I was going to go eat something, and then I sit here and I chit chat a little bit longer. Um, let's see. I'm not sure thumbs up make a difference as the algorithm sorts through. It actually does. They see it and they look at it and they say, everybody that watched liked it. I don't know if it makes like I don't know what it makes a difference in, but I do know that it does make a difference. All right. Sweet Perry. Hello, hello. Okay, I'm going to finish this batch and then I really am going to go eat something because I need to blow my nose and get all the wool out of it and eat something. Let's see, Erica said it consists of a medium drop spindle and raw merino fiber. Can also get one of those Turkish spindles. So my personal opinion is that you do not want to start with merino. Start out with something like Romney or Blueface Leicester. And because they're medium, they're more of a medium length. It's actually pretty hard to work with raw merino. You need a certain kind of comb and you need a certain kind of patience because it's not going to turn out right. It's really soft and slick and squishy. Instead of wanting to go past itself, it wants to hold on to itself. And so, yeah, I go Romney, Blueface Leicester. If you want a good Turkish spindle, we do have Turkish spindles in the Etsy store. I highly recommend them because then you do not have to, what's the word? You do not have to wrap the ball. But I know you're in Africa, so in Africa you probably do want to get out there locally. But I would very quickly get something besides merino. That's what I think. All right. I gotta go eat, guys. I'm failing. So this is what it looks like so far. It is not polished. I worked really hard not to have it polished because then it won't match with the girls. So that's what it looks like. That's what I spun while you guys were watching that whole thing. Why would you make cord yourself when you can buy it for 50 cents from China? Because I like to be useful and to have useful skills, and mine hasn't been processed with a lot of chemicals, and it is going to be a much better product than what I can get from China. And I like the personal inconsistencies that I find in hand spun yarn, if that makes sense. I like that it looks like a person touched it instead of just a machine. So yeah, I could go buy the whole sweater, even if it was 100% wool and really nice wool at that. I could probably go buy it for like $300. But this way I can make it exactly the way I want it. It could be the color that I want, and my hands touched it. And it's my participation in my own life is, I guess, what I would say. It's I want to participate in my own life, make my own things that I wear, make my own food that I eat, that kind of thing. That's why I live in a tiny house off grid, is because I wanted to participate in my own life. So hopefully that answered the question. Erica said, I can get the Turkish spindle from them. Is it better than a normal drop spindle? Yes, a Turkish spindle is better because then when you wrap the ball, you can take the spindle apart and you have a center pole ball to be able to ply from. If you get a regular spindle, you have to unwind the darn thing, turn it into a ball, and then ply from it, and then it'll roll across the floor away from you. Turkish spindles are so nice, so nice. But get Romney or Blueface Lycus or something like that. Yes, exactly. Liz or upset, and there's a personal attachment to the things you create yourself. Yes, and you want it badly enough. You're willing to put the time into it. If you have a lot of money and you're just going out and spending money on stuff, you may not really actually need it. And if I'm going to make something for myself, it's because I actually need it and I want it to be perfect. The hats that I can buy do not keep me warm enough here in our Idaho winters. Same thing for the gloves. I make my own fingerless gloves for chores and scarves for me and the kids. And it just touches my heart that it came from a sheep that I raised, that I care about. Let's see. Erica said, I'll send you their website if you could take a look and recommend which wool fiber I should start with. Yeah, I'd be happy to. Go ahead and Facebook me on it. Go to Dirtpatcheaven because I have a long list of people who've asked to friend me on my personal Facebook, and I have a very hard time getting to them. So do the Dirtpatcheaven Facebook so that I recognize it's you and that it's not stuck in that long list of people. So, all right. Sweet Perry said one must be self-sufficient, right? Ignat Titus Daru, you want to be independent and under your control to know what you eat, which some things you use because you are sensitive. Well, exactly. It's because I'm sensitive. I have to be really careful. Yes, and you can get some of Natalie's wool on that link, and it's some of her scrap boxes. That's awesome. I love it when people make their own clothes. My turn.